Hello, and welcome to Conversations in Quarantine, our Santa Fe Opera Zoom interview series. And I'm Corey Ellison, dramaturg, and our guest today is Alexandra LoBianco, who is cast as the foreign princess in Rusalka this summer at Santa Fe, and has been to Santa Fe before, yes?
Yes.
What did you do there before?
I was actually it was 2016, and I was covering the impeccable, amazing Pat Rosette for Minnie in Fanciulla dell'Est.
Oh my! Wow! Wow!
I also ended up adding covering Leah Crocetto for Donna as well. So it was a busy summer of covering.
Busy summer. Well, now you've got the main stage, without anybody in you're not in line for it. You're right there. So, and you've been very busy doing a lot of these big, substantial heroines all over the world, really. Where were you when this crisis hit? Were you rehearsing something, or?
I was actually here in Chicago. I had been on the road for quite a bit before this. I had just finished doing a Turandot with Palm Beach Opera, but I came home and we had just started the Ring Cycle rehearsals, and I was covering the indomitable Christine Goerke, for Brunhilde, as well as singing Helmwege in the Ring Cycle. So we were very in the midst of it, about to go to stage.
Wow! And what stage of it were you in? You had just begun rehearsals.
We had been in rehearsals for about 5 weeks when we were canceled, and so I had been rehearsing Walküre, and I had been in rehearsal. We had fully staged Götterdämmerung, and we were actually about to shift to stage already. And
heartbreaking. It really is.
It was indeed. It was, my partner is a member of the Lyric Opera Chorus, and so it was, since we met on that stage 5 years ago, it was the first time we had sung together, and so
oh my God. Oh, well, I'm sure there'll be other occasions, and it's wonderful that you get to be at home in Chicago. I mean, it's nice to have a gig at home, and you didn't have far to travel to shelter in place.
No, I didn't. I consider myself one of the very lucky ones that I was already at home with my family, surrounded by what is unusual to be home in a gig life situation, to already be at home.
Yeah.
And not have to think about anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I know people in the business that have gotten stuck places where they were working.
As do I.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So glad that you're home.
Me too.
That's a good thing. And what is a day in your life like these days? Do you have a routine of sorts, or you just sort of play it by ear? How do you do it?
Most days are fairly standard in our house, fairly regular, because my partner has an 8-year-old munchkin who's with us majority of the week, and so it's usually waking up to Snuggles, and then breakfast and getting her ready for school. And doing
school is going.
We do school at home. So he takes care of a lot of her schooling, and then I've been teaching for about 15 years already. So I already have an established studio. So my studio just kind of picked back up where it left off when I go on gigs.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky that I have already been teaching online for well over 8 years.
Oh, so this teaching by Zoom isn't a new thing for you?
No, it's not. I've been teaching via Zoom. I've done Facebook Messenger. I used to give, before all of those existed, I used to give lessons over the phone, just like my teacher did to me.
Wow. Well, that's the itinerant musician life, isn't it? Yeah.
It is indeed.
But it's great that, so many things for you are not, too far out of the norm.
Definitely not.
Yeah, very fortunate. And so you're very, very busy. Do you have any downtime, and what have you been doing with your downtime, if you do?
I have a little bit of downtime, which is nice. I love to cook. I love to cook.
I don't know if you've seen other of our Conversations in Quarantine interviews, but cooking has definitely been a leitmotif. So I'm eager to hear your cooking story.
For many of us, I think it is our kind of our private therapy is the best way I can describe it. I know when I was in school trying my best to figure out if this is what I wanted to do, or if I hated it too much, or I couldn't stand it, or I wanted to be a music therapist, or I wanted to be an equine scientist. All those things came up. I along the way I had decided I'm going to go to culinary school, and I want to do this. So it has been a passion of mine for a very long time. I'm not necessarily great at it, but I love doing it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, that's a really great, it's a really creative thing too.
It is. Easter was fun. I'd never made a leg of lamb before, and so I made this huge, beautiful leg of lamb for Easter, and I didn't care that it was just 3 of us at home. I was going to make a feast.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to find the ways to celebrate no matter what, you know.
Absolutely.
It's great that you did. Have you found the time to do any things that you normally don't do during this time?
Well, considering we just bought a house less than a year ago, I'm actually finding time to finish unpacking boxes.
Yeah, that takes a while. It really takes a while.
It does. You know, finding time to sit and really enjoy reading a book, reading cookbooks, sitting and, I know it sounds silly, but sitting back and reading has been a huge light in all of this, and finding those moments to enjoy the reading. And also, this is going to sound very silly as well, perhaps, but finding the simplicity of my voice again, and the simplicity of making noise, and enjoying the process just for the process sake, and not just because I have a contract coming up, and not because for any other reason than just making the noise.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that's really refreshing and lovely and fascinating.
We all get into singing because of how it makes us feel. And for men, at least I would think many of us do, for what it makes us feel and how it makes our heart sing. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the business of it, and it's about taking care of our audience and taking care of our colleagues and taking care of everything else and doing the job. And while that is still extraordinarily satisfying, there's something very, sorry, the garbage people are here taking our garbage. So if you hear
a slice of life, with a little Verismo interview here.
Exactly. Luckily, unlike New York, when I lived there, we have alleys, so they're coming down my alley, which is lovely. Falling in love with the making of the sound, and just sitting at the piano for the sake of sitting there and enjoying sitting with my Lamperti exercises and going through in getting back to basics and falling in love with just how to make legato as much as legato as possible, and enjoying the long tones, to go back to harken back when I was a clarinetist, and make the mezzi di voce, and really enjoy those moments of finding the simplicity and the power within the voice, and not having to use all of it all the time, and show off. So I don't know.
Oh, so it's amazing. So even though probably you've had some things coming ahead that may be canceled, it's a time when you're really making progress as an artist.
Yes, absolutely.
A gift. What books have you been reading? You were mentioning reading. Anything you want to share with us?
Well, ironically, before this all started, I had started reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bleep.
Yeah.
Yes, and it really was the perfect book to be reading at a time like this, when you could go multiple directions and completely lose your mind and panic and just go overboard into the emotional angst of it all, because it is very emotionally taxing for all of us on many different levels. This is, I keep going back to what a dear friend said, and they said, this is big T trauma for all of us. This is trauma for everyone. It's a global pandemic. So reading something like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bleep It reminded me that there are so many more things that I have to be grateful for on a daily basis. With being home, having a roof over my head, having enough food, being able to send a little extra to colleagues that might not have as much, knowing my family is safe, remembering that those are the important things.
Yeah.
I still have the ability to make music, even if it's in my own home.
Yes, that's wonderful. And to teach others to make music, which is really great too. And that's a very important thing that you just mentioned about helping out other fellow artists. I know that there have arisen during this period a lot of sort of, mom and pop, there's big official things that various of the unions that we belong to have started.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people privately have begun supporting fellow artists and soliciting support for fellow artists, which has really been a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
And, in a way, this crisis has brought out the best in a lot of us, which is quite amazing. So what has been for you the biggest challenge of this time? I mean, you seem to be doing really well, but is there anything that you found challenging about this time?
Because I was in the midst of the ring cycle, and alongside with singing Foreign Princess in Rusalka this summer, I am also covering Isolde.
Right.
And so getting back to singing Wagner after having canceled a big, huge Wagner, it's challenging because there's an emotional attachment there to his writing and whatnot. But being away from my family is probably the hardest thing. My parents are aging, we'll put it that way. Very sprightly, incredible, as all of ours are. Yeah. But they are in Florida, and I am the only one here in Chicago. I almost said North Carolina because I used to live in North Carolina. Forgive me. But here in Chicago, I'm the only member of my family who's this far away. Everyone else is in Florida. Oh. And my brother, my sister, my triplet nieces, my sister and her wife, and all of my extended family basically is there. So it is very hard being away, but you know what? FaceTime and all of these amazing technological advances that have been happening over the years have made it so much easier. Yeah,
I mean, we're a lot better off than we were during the Spanish flu when Zoom didn't exist, right?
Yes.
You'd have to look at the bright side. So, last question, and this has sort of again become a motif because so many of our artists have expressed an interest in cooking. What's for dinner tonight, Lexi?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Too early to tell?
It might be skirt steak. It's nice enough here in Chicago finally to start using our grill. Which is wonderful, and so I might go in and marinate some skirt steak for dinner tonight, and I think we have some Brussels sprouts and I'll roast. So, but it'll definitely have some blueberry cobbler because blueberries are gorgeous right now to go along with it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, that's all very very optimistic and positive and wonderful, and thank you for bringing a ray of sunshine into my day. And I hope
thank you, Corey.
Everyone who joins us listening to this, watching this. So thanks so much, Lexi. It's been great to see you and speak with you.
It's been so wonderful, and I hope to see you and hug you soon.
Yes, in 3D. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.